This is the person. I'm sure of it. He's the one who. The high school girl who had been brought in front of me pointed at me with a shaken look and said that. Then, the company president's secretary, who had brought her in, gently placed a hand on her shoulder, smiled, thanked her, and quietly led her out of the reception room. That had happened yesterday evening on the train platform on my way home from work. Her uniform was soiled with dirt, her hair disheveled, and she was leaning against a pillar. At her feet was a luxury brand wallet that looked very familiar. I had been watching her closely. If it looked like she was going to steal it, I was ready to stop her. But she didn't. Just as she carefully picked up the edge of the wallet with her fingertips and began looking for a station staff member, Peanut came running over, yelling, "You little brat, give me back my wallet." He grabbed the high school girl's arm, already convinced she was a thief. That's when I instinctively stepped in and explained what had really happened. Thanks to my testimony, the girl should have been cleared. So then why? A pervert like you getting fired is just karma. Too bad, old man. All I did was help a high school girl. How did it come to this? Because of Peanut's sinister smirk and his scheme, I lost my job. But I didn't know then that this incident would actually become a turning point in my life. My name is Sean. I work in the school lunch bread division at a factory that's part of a major Japanese bakery company. Of course, we make standard white rolls, but also brown sugar bread. Fried bread these days school lunches have much more variety, so we make subtle adjustments every time. That's our pride. I got into this line of work thanks to a part-time job I had back in high school. It was just my mother, my younger brother, and me, so I started working to help support the family. Since I went to night school, I spent weekdays working from early morning. One of the best perks of the job was being able to take home leftover bread. It became our lunch at home. Whenever Mom was home, she would turn it into sandwiches by adding homemade fillings. That's a fond memory for me. But when it came time for job hunting, I was honestly torn. My part-time employer had told me they wanted to hire me full-time. Still, even with just a high school diploma, I wondered if I should aim for a better-paying job for the sake of my family. It was around that time. On my day off, I was sitting absent-mindedly in the park, thinking about all of that, when 3 boys came strolling by, dragging their feet. They looked like elementary schoolers. It was a quiet park, so I couldn't help but overhear their conversation. "I'm not really looking forward to middle school, you know?" "Same here. And why do we have to start bringing lunch once we hit our grade? Right? Man, we'll never have it again. The legendary rock, paper, scissors battle for the cinnamon roll." Don't say that. Now I'm craving one. There was a good chance they were talking about the bread made at our factory. To them, it may have been just idle chatter. But maybe one day, when they're grown up, they'll laugh and reminisce about those same school lunches. Listening to them talk, I found myself smiling. That's when I decided to stay at the bread factory. I chose to dedicate myself to something that might become a small source of joy and nostalgia in someone else's life. That's how I came to work full-time at the bread factory. Most of the staff had known me since I was a part-timer, so the work environment was comfortable. And with full-time status came a stronger sense of responsibility. But 6 months ago, a personnel change turned everything upside down. My name is Jason, and I'm the new National Operations Manager. More importantly, keep in mind, I'm also the son of Mr. Keller. Even though it was a subsidiary, we were still part of one of Japan's top bread companies. As the only son of Mr. Keller and the next in line to run the company, Jason's abuse of power and domineering behavior had become impossible to ignore. He dumped all his work on subordinates and blamed the floor workers whenever sales dropped. It didn't take long for everyone to resent him. Eventually, people stopped using his name and started calling him Peanut behind his back. Our factory was the largest in the country, so I received constant passive-aggressive emails and calls from him. It seemed that me, barely in my 20s, having a full grasp of the factory and managing everything was what really got under Peanut's skin. About the new production line, I'll need to discuss it with Sean first. I'm sorry, We can't make that change until we get Sean's input. Can we wait until Sean's available for tomorrow's meeting? That was how everyone on the floor responded. No matter how harshly Peanut tried to give orders, it was understood that my opinion would be the deciding factor. From production to quality control to new product development, all the trust was placed in me. In meetings, people would ask, "What's your take on this, Sean?" And I could clearly see Peanut's face twitch every time. To someone like him, who had no real skill or experience and got his position through nepotism, I must have been an eyesore. Perhaps because of that, even though Peanut was technically still in his 20s, he deliberately called me Ace in a mocking tone. He must have been consumed by jealousy me, someone who had earned the trust of the entire factory through hard work, while he had nothing but his father's name. Then one day, after finishing work, I arrived at the station near the factory at my usual time, as always. That day we had a staff meeting after the line shift, so I ended up hitting the worst of the rush hour. Trying to make my way through the crowd to my usual boarding spot, something caught my eye. A high school girl. She didn't look quite young enough to be in middle school, so I assumed she was in high school. But she stood out for all the wrong reasons. Her blazer and skirt were covered in dirt, and her hair was a mess. Leaning against a pillar, looking down, she drew no attention from the busy commuters. But to me, she looked like someone going through something. I couldn't help but watch her for a while. Then I noticed something. At first, I thought she was just looking down, but at her feet was a long wallet. It looked like a man's wallet, a luxury brand I even recognized. She stared at it like she was trying to make up her mind. Honestly, I probably looked more suspicious for watching her so closely. But if she tried to steal it, I was ready to stop her. That tense balance didn't last long. She let out a long sigh, then reached out for the wallet. Carefully holding it by the edge with her fingertips, she started walking. I wasn't sure what she intended to do and hesitated. Then came a voice so loud it echoed across the platform. "You little brat, give me back my wallet." I thought I dropped it, but turns out it was stolen. A man came running down the stairs, saw the wallet in her hand, and immediately grabbed her arm, shouting in rage. His voice was so loud that even the station staff rushed over. "Hey, this kid's a thief. Someone call the police right now. It hurts. My arm. Please calm down. For now, we'll check the contents of the wallet. Let's go to the station master's office." As the men and the high school girl were about to be taken away by the station staff, I jumped out instinctively. "Wait, I saw what happened. Please let me come too." The man looked more shocked than anyone to see me suddenly appear. You're Ace, aren't you? Fancy seeing you here, Peanut, or should I say Jason. The man who had been yelling was none other than Peanut. He had been at the meeting earlier today, so I hadn't expected him to be commuting by train. We all went to the station master's office, where it was confirmed that the wallet did indeed belong to Peanut based on its contents. But that's where the real problem began. "So, you did call the police, right? We need them to arrest this thief. Dressed like that. I bet she stole my luxury wallet to get money for who knows what." "Please wait. I didn't steal it. I was just trying to bring it to the station staff." "Yeah, right. That's the oldest excuse in the book. Officer, come on. Hurry up." The station staff didn't want things to escalate, especially since the wallet's contents weren't missing, but they still gave the girl a slightly disapproving look, possibly influenced by her disheveled appearance and Peanut's attitude. I could tell Peanut wasn't going to stop until this became a full-blown incident, so I decided to speak up. "Mind if I say something?" I thought maybe there was no need to complicate things if the wallet had been returned, but clearly that's not happening. "Huh. Oh right, you said you saw what happened. What, were you taking pictures of the girl or something? Don't count on the security cameras, all right? Everyone saw her with my wallet." "Yes, they did. But what I saw was her staring at the wallet that had fallen at her feet, and then carefully picking it up by the corner to carry it." I spoke to Peanut in a calm, composed tone, because I planned to end this in a way he would hate most. "It's simple. Fingerprints. If she stole it, her prints would be all over it. And if she wasn't planning to return it, she probably would have shoved it into her bag right away. So, let's have the police check. I'll also inform Mr. Keller as a witness. I'll let him know his son is currently being investigated by the police. Come on now, let's clear this up. I gently placed a hand on the girl's back, making sure not to touch her directly, and pointed toward the door as I stared Peanut down. Just the mention of Mr. Keller always set Peanut off. All the more reason he wouldn't want Mr. Keller to find out about this, especially since he would clearly be the one expected to apologize. Knowing Jason, I was certain that's exactly how he would think. Sure enough, the shouting stopped, and he started putting on a face like he was doing us all a favor. Well, I'm a busy man. Let's just call it settled then. Good day. Everyone was stunned at how quickly the man who had made such a scene simply walked out. Then the girl and I also left the station master's office. Left alone together, I wasn't sure what to say, but she timidly spoke up. Yes. Thank you so much. She bowed so deeply her face nearly touched her knees. I flusteredly told her to raise her head, but she wouldn't, so I had no choice but to gently grab both her shoulders and lift her up. That's when I noticed there was a bit of dirt smudged on her face too. It might have seemed a little over the top, but I pulled out my handkerchief and wiped her face a little. You just tried to do the right thing. Take care on your way home, all right? As I said that, our eyes met those big round eyes. In that moment, I gasped. Just from wiping off the dirt, her fair skin appeared as if she had just removed makeup, and her long lashes framed clear eyes that shone like the surface of water. She had the delicate features of a rising young actress, and I found myself staring, suddenly self-conscious about how forceful I had been. I felt like I could still hear her voice saying thank you. Without looking back, I hurried away and jumped onto the train that had just arrived at the platform. Even after that, her shining eyes kept flashing through my mind again and again. The next day, in the middle of my morning shift at the factory, I was suddenly called to the reception room. They told me Mr. Keller himself was here. Even though our factory is the biggest in the group, it's extremely rare for the president to show up on a regular workday. But I had a good idea why. Of course, it had to be about what happened yesterday with Peanut. And my instincts were right. As I entered the room, there was Mr. Keller, looking displeased, and Peanut, trying to hide a smug grin. My apologies for the wait. I wasn't expecting you to visit in person, Mr. Keller. Is something the matter? Sounds like you had quite the incident yesterday. Sean, was it? Shameless doesn't begin to describe it. You've got nerve showing up for work. I'll give you that. What exactly are you talking about? I had a feeling it was about yesterday, but something didn't sit right, so I asked. Mr. Keller slammed the table in front of him with a bang. Then, he calmly continued speaking. Just because the police weren't involved doesn't mean this can be overlooked. My son witnessed it, and that's your bad luck. I'm afraid we cannot employ someone who behaves inappropriately toward a high school girl. Wait, what? Inappropriate? What are you talking about? Peanut clapped his hands loudly, cutting me off. The secretary entered through the side door, and to my disbelief, she was accompanied by the same high school girl from yesterday. I couldn't process what I was seeing. Looking timid, she was brought in clutching her chest as if to calm her nerves, and Mr. Keller spoke gently to her. Is he the one? Are you sure? From the flow of the conversation, it was clear he was asking if I had done something inappropriate to her. A scenario I didn't recognize at all was unfolding before my eyes. Then, she spoke the words that confirmed my nightmare. This is the person. I'm sure of it. He's the one who. The same high school girl who had thanked me yesterday was now pointing at me and saying that. Then the secretary placed a hand on her shoulder, smiled, and quietly led her out of the room. Now, the only ones left in the rarely used reception room were Mr. Keller, Peanut, and me. The girl from yesterday, Peanut, who had brought her here, and me all involved in yesterday's events. A terrible feeling began to creep over me. I wasn't sure whether Mr. Keller knew the truth, but the facts were being twisted. Peanut's outrageous behavior from yesterday had been erased, and now I was the one being painted as a man who had done something indecent to a schoolgirl. Wait, this is all a lie. None of it's true. Come on, didn't you say it yourself? That you were staring at the girl on the train platform like a creep. Oh, and remember how you put your hand on her back while she was about to cry? Dad, I'm sure Sean's done this before. Word is he didn't exactly have the cleanest high school record. Looks like he can't control himself. Peanut continued, grinning smugly as he made up story after story. I couldn't help but blurt out, "You bastard." I didn't know if he heard me, but Peanut just looked even more pleased, and, just like the girl had earlier, pointed at me. Then he drew a line across his neck with his finger. Perverts getting canned. Sorry, Ace. That's right. Sean, you're fired as of today. You should be grateful we're not handing you over to the police. This conversation is over. You may leave. Wait, please. I couldn't help but slam my hands on the desk and lean forward. This is a complete false accusation. There must be security camera footage from the station, and the station staff who were there. Enough. Peanut interrupted, smirking. Nobody wants to hear excuses from you, Ace. I couldn't accept this. But it was clear they had already made up their minds to fire me. Bringing that girl here was proof enough of how far they were willing to go. I held back the urge to punch him and left the room. By then, it was already lunchtime. All I wanted was to sit down and collect myself, so I headed for the break room. But the voices I heard through the door were more than enough to crush what little spirit I had left. Are you serious? Sean did what to a high school girl? Yeah, the rumors spreading like wildfire. He got fired, apparently. What a stupid thing for him to do. I turned my back to the loud, baseless gossip echoing through the break room. I left a note for the factory manager asking to have my paperwork mailed, stuffed my few belongings into a bag, and walked out of the workplace where I once dreamed of building my future, my jaw clenched in frustration. A month passed. Hey Ace, give me a croquette, will ya? Stop calling me Ace. Oh, it's you, Henry. Quit with the impersonation already. It just fits you so well, you've always got that scowl, you know? Come on, I'm starving here. Yeah. I started breading the mixture I had prepared and dropped the croquettes into the fryer. A few days after I was fired from the factory, I knew I should have found another job quickly. But even I wasn't immune to the weight of what had happened. My body simply wouldn't move. That's when, through a connection, I was introduced to this little croquette shop. The previous owner had been planning to shut it down and told me I could do whatever I wanted with it. Still, it's dead around here. Not surprising with how run down this shopping street is. It's a shame though. These croquettes are good. This guy's Henry. We've been friends since school and started working at the factory together as the same cohort. He's the only one I told the full story to. In fact, it was Henry who hooked me up with this croquette shop. Even after I quit, he's been dropping by regularly to check on me. How's the factory doing? Well, I work a different line, so all I know are the rumors. But I hear it's real quiet now, everyone just working in silence, even during breaks. I see. I regretted asking. I didn't regret what I did, but it still hurt to be reminded of that place. Noticing I had gone quiet, Henry stretched, shouldered his backpack, having eaten 3 croquettes. Anyway, I'm heading out. You better keep prepping in case some cute customers show up. That a dig? Thanks, man. I waved as he walked away like we were still in high school, his arms swinging wide. Just as I was about to head back in, a voice called out from the opposite direction. Excuse me. Oh yes. Welcome. I turned around and froze. Even though it had been a month, there was no way I could forget. Standing in front of me was the high school girl from that day. But she looked completely different from how she had at the station. Her shiny black hair flowed neatly down. Her uniform ribbon was perfectly tied, and even the pleats of her skirt were crisp and sharp. The beauty I had glimpsed when I wiped her face with my handkerchief wasn't just a fluke. She stood there now, a poised and strikingly pretty girl who wore her uniform with grace. It's you from back then. What are you doing here? I've been looking for you. Ever since that day, something didn't sit right with me. I asked about you at the factory, and they said you'd quit. I didn't understand what had happened. Hey, hold on, don't cry, all right? Here, have a croquette or something first. Honestly, I was just as confused as she was. But seeing her pale face and teary eyes, I had to at least pretend to be calm. Her name was Mia. I handed her a croquette and had her sit down on the bench nearby, then sat down beside her after a short pause. After we parted at the station, the wallet guy's secretary gave me a business card, said they wanted to apologize. I didn't feel like going to school, so the next day, I went to the factory. So that's what happened. Mia started crying even harder. They told me, we think the person who helped you was someone named Sean, but we just want to confirm. If you're called in, just answer simply. You want to thank him too, right? That's what they said. Thanks to her explanation, all the messy puzzle pieces in my mind started to fall into place. Mia and I had both been played trapped by Peanut's scheme. Mia, thank you for coming all this way to tell me. I've already moved on with this new job, so really, don't worry about it. The guy with the wallet? We've never gotten along. This was probably inevitable. No. Her sudden outburst nearly knocked me off the bench. With a tear-streaked face, she looked at me with determination. I wanted to repay you. I really hesitated that day whether to pick up that wallet or not. I was tempted by the money, and I thought, someone like me, all dirty like that, if I picked it up, people would think I stole it. And, well, that's exactly what happened. Mia. But you protected me. You believed in me, even when no one else did. A quiet pause followed. I didn't want Mia to be haunted by that incident any longer. But saying that now wouldn't lift the weight from her heart. I could feel that. Suddenly, she took a bite of the croquette she'd been holding. This is delicious. Wait, seriously, it's amazing. Whoa, that's a quick switch. But yeah, still good even when it's cold, right? I've had time on my hands, so I've been tweaking the recipe like crazy. I'm actually pretty good at cooking, you know. I chuckled as I spoke, and Mia quickly finished the croquette and grabbed my hand. Then, if you don't want me to repay you, let me help with the shop. It's such a waste if no one's eating these, they're too good. What? No way. I can't afford to hire help right now. I don't want pay. Think of it as being your fan. Like supporting your favorite artist. Her reasoning made no sense, but her energy and confidence were so overwhelming that I gave in. And that was just the beginning. I had no idea how powerful and fast her influence would become. Mia started by creating accounts on every social media platform imaginable. Surprisingly, she had never used them before. Even in group photos with friends, she used to make them cover her face. That's how private she had been. But once she joined social media, everyone around her followed her immediately. She started posting casual clips of daily life and short videos with friends. Not to exaggerate, but with her looks, she could easily be mistaken for a professional model. I totally understood why people had been pushing her to go online. And when she started showing her face, her follower count skyrocketed. Then one day, she rushed into the shop after school, fist raised in the air. Sean, it's go time. She immediately began directing me, taking photos and videos, posing me, letting me photograph her too. By the time the weekend rolled around, I still had no idea what was going on. Then something unbelievable happened. As usual, I opened up shop, and students, families, and all sorts of customers started showing up. This is so good. Hey, isn't this the place from that post Misha shared? Let's go. This croquette is insane. Hey, can we get a photo with you? Like Misha did? Yeah, sure. While frying croquettes, I felt like I'd been transported to another world. As I kept working, a group of kids suddenly squealed in excitement. No way is that Misha? Oh my gosh, it is. She's even cuter in real life. They were talking about Mia. She was instantly surrounded, smiling brighter than ever as she chatted with them and posed for photos, croquette in hand. It felt like an idol had just arrived. She looked at me as I stood stunned and gave a little wave with that trademark smile. Crazy, right? Social media can really turn a town around. Gotta respect how fast these kids move, huh, Ace? I'm not Ace. Oh, Henry, it's you again. You know, people are calling Misha the lightning influencer. She popped up out of nowhere and instantly became a fashion icon for teens. No wonder even croquettes are flying off the shelves. That day became the first time I ever completely sold out since taking over the shop. Ever since then, Mia continued to openly declare on social media that she was a fan of my croquettes, posting pictures of meals, lining up the croquettes neatly, and sharing moments from our little shopping district. That flood of customers we saw early on was just a passing trend, but thanks to the exposure, people got to know the taste. My shop began to draw in more and more locals, to the point that I couldn't keep up with orders on my own some days. Sean, what do you say we start trying out some new things? Mia's eyes sparkled as she tapped away at her phone beside the register. Like limited time menu items. Oh, and maybe collaborating with other shops around here too. I've made friends with the greengrocer, you know. What if we used fresh veggies for some creative croquettes? I think it'd be a hit. Her cheeks were faintly pink with excitement, and she tucked a strand of long hair behind her ear as more and more ideas spilled out. Isn't this enough though? We've already got steady local customers now. Ugh, Sean. She gave my arm a light smack in frustration. Come on. Thinking about the shop is fun. Working on ideas with you makes time just fly by. She looked down shyly. I feel like there's still so much more we can do together. There was a certain bounce in her voice, a hopefulness that felt pure. I could tell that being part of this shop had become something deeply meaningful to her. But those warm days didn't last. The shop's reputation was solid, and more locals kept coming in. Yet something about Mia began to change. She would often freeze while ringing up customers, staring into space. Even while typing up new posts, her sighs became more frequent. She'd suddenly fall silent in the middle of pitching a new croquette idea. Mia, did something happen? You keep checking your phone, did you get some weird message or something? I asked her one day, casually. She quickly flipped the screen down. No, it's nothing. But the smile she forced afterward looked artificial, like a mask. Before, she would have shoved her phone in my face and said, "Look at this, Sean," with that usual sparkle. She wasn't herself with customers either. Even when a camera was pointed at her, she couldn't summon her usual effortless smile. When regulars started saying, "Misha's not her usual self lately," she didn't deny it. Sometimes she even looked like the words hurt. And more than once, I caught her staring at me with something unspoken in her eyes. But the words never came. Only her soft sighs filled the space between us. Then one day, Mia. It was evening, and I found her sitting alone on the bench. I finally worked up the courage to speak. You've been looking really down lately, and I've been thinking, why don't we go ahead with one of those ideas you pitched? The collaboration with the greengrocer, I've already talked to him. Mia paused for a moment as she stared at the sunset. Then, with a calm and distant expression, she began to speak. I'm quitting. What? I've been thinking about it since I started social media. I figured if I helped the shop grow and made myself known, it'd be a win-win. Honestly, I've gone as far as I need to here. I have more followers now. I want to take things to a bigger stage. Staying hidden in some small town shopping street is a waste of my potential. There was no hesitation, no kindness in her tone, just cold, clear distance. Mia, I've repaid my debt, haven't I? I can finally move on. So, good luck, Sean. Take care. The last image I had of her was a version I'd never seen before. By the time I could finally move from the bench, night had already fallen. It's already been a week since Misha left. Guess Ace is back to being alone again. You just ate 5 croquettes. And stop calling me Ace already, come on. Even you, Henry? Hey, I'm just going with the trend. But honestly, maybe it's for the best. She was a handful sometimes. Especially with stuff like this. A few days after Mia cut ties with me, flyers began showing up around the area. They read, "Croquette shop owner Sean is a scumbag who exploited a high school girl to work for free. Boycott his shop." Some customers told me I should track down whoever was responsible. But honestly, the things written on those flyers weren't exactly lies, so I couldn't really say anything. With Mia gone, people started looking at me with uncertainty again. I began to wonder if I'd end up having to leave this place too. Still, part of me was relieved that Mia didn't have to see things turn out this way. That's when the shop phone rang, something that rarely happened. I quickly snapped out of my thoughts and picked up. The man on the other end spoke politely, introducing himself as Kevin from a TV production company. "A TV station. Sorry, we're turning down all interviews and media requests right now." "Oh, I understand you must be very busy. Then just a quick question, if I may. You rose to fame with help from a high school influencer. Tell me, was there anything more to your relationship with her?" I didn't even let him finish. My irritation boiled over, and I cut in, raising my voice. "I know exactly what you're trying to imply. But listen here, we weren't anything like whatever garbage you've made up in your head." There was silence on the other end. I instantly regretted it. If the call had been recorded, those words alone would have made perfect gossip fodder. I didn't know exactly how much time had passed, but maybe I had been on the phone longer than I thought. Just as I started to feel my hand go numb in more ways than one, Henry came over and started tugging firmly at my apron. "Sorry, hold on one sec," I said, covering the receiver with my hand. "What?" "I'm still on the phone." "Sean, Misha's in trouble, look at this." "What is this?" "Someone found Misha. They took photos and were live posting while following her. She got into a car, so they gave up. But look at this car." The second I saw the photo, I hung up the phone and took off running. I didn't know what I would do or say if I caught up to her. If this was her choice, then fine. But if it wasn't, if she was in trouble, I couldn't just sit back. "Sean, it's the restaurant in the high-rise building by the station." "Thanks. I'll treat you to croquettes next time." Thanks to the info Henry had gotten for me, I was able to run straight toward my goal. I didn't think about anything else, I just ran. I couldn't let Mia get hurt again. Not ever. Because the car in that photo was one I would never forget. It belonged to Peanut. I took the back roads where cars couldn't go and finally reached the high-rise building near the station. I didn't hesitate. I ran straight for the restaurant on the top floor where Henry said she'd be. Of course, wearing a hoodie and an apron from a croquette shop, I was stopped at the entrance. "Excuse me, sir, do you have a reservation?" "What? A reservation?" As the staff tried to stop me, what caught my eye was Peanut and Mia sitting at what looked like the best table by the window. And in the quiet of that upscale place, my presence stood out. Our eyes met. "Ah, Peanut." I glared. He looked surprised for a moment, then smirked and slowly walked over. Well, what's a guy like you doing in a place like this, huh, Ace?" "Oh, are you here for Mia?" "This place isn't suited for outbursts. Let's take this to the rooftop garden, shall we?" "Come, Mia." Mia followed without protest, but she wouldn't look at me. The rooftop garden had benches and greenery, with a view over the entire city. The three of us stopped right around the middle. Whenever the three of us are together, it brings back memories of that day at the station. But the atmosphere now is completely different. "Jason, I just want to ask one thing. If you and Mia have truly made peace, then I'll leave right away." "Peace? Who with who?" I was stunned. He didn't feel even a shred of guilt, not about what happened at the station, not about tricking Mia into getting me fired. I clenched my jaw so tight it hurt. "You and Mia, you're together now because you wanted to be, right?" I barely got the words out, and Jason just laughed. Loudly, without even trying to hide it. "Ah, so that's it, you're just jealous. Back down in the dumps again, huh? Those flyers even made it all the way to the factory." "Flyers? What are you talking about, Jason?" "Don't tell me you did something to Sean's shop." Mia, who had been silent until now, suddenly shouted out. She looked like she was about to lunge at Peanut at any moment. Whoa, whoa. I didn't do a thing. What some random person decided to do is out of my control, isn't it? But still, I quietly watched the two of them argue. It really was just like that day at the station all over again. I finally spoke, steady and calm. Peanut was clever, but he always got sloppy at the end. Jason, did you see those flyers yourself? Huh? Of course. I'm the National Operations Manager, remember? I was told they were posted in the factory's mailbox. Gotta stay informed about former employees after all. Honestly, getting rid of Ace was the right call. Ha ha. As he laughed loudly, I turned and walked over to Mia. This time, unlike at the station, I firmly took her hand in mine. Sean! She looked like she might burst into tears. I smiled at her then. Still smiling, I turned to Peanut. You really need to watch your mouth, Peanut. You've always had a bad habit of talking too much when you think you've won. What did you just say? Those flyers? They were only scattered around the local shopping street. Most customers didn't even know about them. They weren't at any stations, and definitely not at other factories. And I never told customers where I used to work. So, for you to know about them. The only explanation is you made them yourself. Sweat started pouring down Peanut's face. I knew then I had nailed it. Then Mia squeezed my hand tighter and shouted, You lied to me, again? You said if I didn't cooperate as an influencer, bad things might happen to Sean's shop. You threatened me, even if it was indirect. That's why I left him, to protect the shop. I'm so sorry, Sean. As she sobbed and apologized, I held her hand even more firmly. We looked at each other, and that's when a bright flash and a camera shutter broke the moment. I looked forward and saw Peanut, wobbling as he held up his phone and took pictures. Ha ha ha. I'll spread this photo now. Or maybe I'll sell it to a tabloid. I'll make it even spisher crush both of you. Anyone who defies me gets destroyed. He was clearly spiraling. And if he followed through, it could seriously hurt Mia's future. I was still scrambling for what to do when. Another flash and the click of a camera. Yes, excellent footage. And don't worry, we've got it all on video as well. Sean, thank you again for granting us interview access today. Ah, Jason, thank you too. I'm a producer with the television network. TV? What? Indeed. We've received full permission to document Sean's journey from his ups and downs to where he is now. I must say, we didn't expect such a dramatic twist on day one. That's right, Kevin, who called the shop today, was the producer in question. Back then, I had heard everything. He had told me he was trying to expose Peanut's abusive behavior, but couldn't get access unless I agreed to be the subject of the documentary. Apparently, he had followed the story from the station incident, found me through Mia's social media. I'd hesitated at first, but when Henry showed me that photo of Mia in Peanut's car, I knew I had to cooperate. Peanut shouted things like, "Don't mess with me," and "You idiot," as he pointed and yelled at me. You think you can cross me, Ace, and get away with it? I'll ruin not just Mia, but your shop, your family, everything. This is what happens when you go against the president's son. Then he frantically pulled out his phone. Dad, help me. These idiots are ganging up on me. What, a strike at the factory? My comments were broadcast? I didn't know. Wait, Dad. The call was cut. Peanut stood there frozen, clutching his phone limply, and slowly collapsed onto the ground. Looking over toward the rooftop entrance, I saw Henry smirking and waving his phone at me. Turns out, the entire conversation with Peanut had been live streamed through Henry's phone to the whole factory. It had sparked the strike. Everyone had finally had enough. Sean, perhaps we should continue this conversation elsewhere. Jason doesn't seem capable of speaking rationally right now. Yeah, let's go. We headed to a shared lounge space a few floors below. In the elevator, no one spoke until Kevin turned to me. Sean, thank you. I believe this means Jason's hold over you and Mia is finally broken. No, really, I didn't do anything worth thanking me for. I tried to deflect. But Kevin took my hand seriously and said, "Please, let me thank you properly. You've been protecting my daughter this entire time." Daughter! I forgot to introduce myself properly. I'm Kevin. I'm Mia's father. Excuse me? At that exact moment, the elevator doors opened. Kevin and I sat down together on one of the sofas. The crew took seats a little farther away. Henry was on a phone call at the far end, and Mia sat a little apart from everyone, staring at the floor. "Mia, is it all right if I tell Sean the truth about us?" "Do what you want, Mr. Producer." Her words sent a chill through me. Kevin let out a quiet sigh. "Mia and I were not related by blood. I married her mother later on." Kevin's voice was a little hoarse. As if trying to avoid the spotlight, she sat at the edge of the seating area, slowly unraveling the long string of memories that had led her to this very day. "Sean and that man, they're talking about me." "What are they saying?" "Sean always looks so serious, it's hard to read him. There's one thing I want him to know. I'm not Kevin's daughter, Mia. I'll always be the daughter of my real father. My father worked in television. My mother was a budding actress. I loved TV so much as a kid, I used to scold my dad for always being late. But deep down, when I watched shows, I'd wonder if he made them. They were always working, always gone. Eventually, I started to resent the TV that kept them from me. But one day, when I came home from school, they were both there and they hugged me. They told me that for my birthday tomorrow, the three of us would be going to the amusement park. They smiled. I smiled. The next morning, my mom said, "Dad will come after work, so let's go wait for him." She helped me put on a new outfit we had picked out together. She smiled and said, "Your eyes are just like mine." "But your smile, that's your dad's." As I stared at myself in the mirror, the phone rang. She answered, then hugged me tight. "We're going to pick up Daddy now." I asked if we'd all go to the amusement park. She cried. We ended up at a cold, dim hospital room. There was a white sheet, just feet poking out. They wouldn't let me see his face. The next day, I wore black. I stood in a room filled with crying strangers. My dad became just a picture in a frame. Soon after, my last name changed. By the time I was in middle school, I understood everything. My dad had died in an accident. My mom quit acting and became a manager at her agency. She met a man through work who tried to get close to me. She said it wasn't romantic, but that was obviously a lie. That man Kevin once said to me, "Mia, how about we eat out tomorrow night?" "Oh, so I'm supposed to third wheel your date?" "I'm not into that. If you two want to get married, go ahead." Mia, adults are so selfish. When I was little, they left me alone all the time. They got my hopes up without asking, then broke their promises. Then one day, they just disappeared without a word. They're disgusting creatures who give in to greed. I got tired of everything. So I decided to meet the man I called Uncle just once. When I forced myself to act cheerful, they both looked so happy. When I started high school, my mother got remarried. She always said she wanted us to be a happy family of three. That turned out to be another lie. Earlier this year, her stomach started to grow bigger and bigger. Ah, so that's what she meant by three, huh? There was no place left for me anymore. I couldn't even understand why I was still here. I pretended to go to school, but I never went home. It rained, and my clothes and hair got filthy. I had no money left. I was at the train station, completely lost. That's when I noticed a fancy-looking wallet lying near my feet. If it had cash in it, maybe I could get far away. That's what I thought, but somehow, without realizing it, I was holding the wallet and looking for a station attendant. And then an adult accused me of being a thief. I actually found it funny, deep inside. I thought maybe I should just disappear before I became like them. But then, "You were just trying to do the right thing." When I heard those words, it felt like all the darkness inside me was drained away. I doubt Sean even realizes what he said meant that much to me. Maybe I was wrong about adults. Maybe not all of them are the same. Mia, are you okay? You must be exhausted. Sean, wait, was I asleep? You were. Snoring, actually. No way. Oh no. While she panicked and wiped her mouth, I pretended to pick up some trash and quietly wiped away my own tears. When Mia noticed Kevin standing nearby, she quickly looked away again. Mia, can I talk to you for a moment? What is it? I think you're ready to hear this now. It's about your father. Who cares about him anymore? All you people ever care about is your own families, huh? She stood up in a burst of anger, but Kevin gently tapped her shoulder and she sat back down. He sat beside her. He was my senior at work. He used to stare at his family photos and say, "Let me go home already." That was his catchphrase. The TV industry was brutal back then. Even when he wanted to leave, he still looked out for me, the rookie. I admired him so much. That day, there was a mistake in the next day's broadcast, and we both got called in. Wait, wasn't that the day of his daughters? Yeah, it starts at 10. We'll be done by 9, Kevin, he said. But he didn't leave the office until 9:30. He even gave me a ride near the station. As I walked to the platform, I heard a huge explosion-like sound. Kevin bit his lips slightly, clearly recalling the memory. Mia covered her mouth, hearing the story for the first time. There was a truck accident. Multiple vehicles were involved. His car got crushed. It was gone. I only learned this before I remarried, but apparently, after the funeral, a mother and daughter came to visit. The mother broke down in tears, apologizing while the little girl, who didn't understand anything yet, stood by her side. No way. It seems she ran out into the street right as he was leaving. He swerved to avoid her. He couldn't. He didn't make it. Your father was someone who always put others first, right to the very end. Mia cried. She sobbed uncontrollably, not caring who was watching. She cried, embraced by the man she once looked down on and called uncle. My mom and I, we've both been looking forward to seeing you grow up happy. You'll get there. You're just like your father, so kind. Dad, oh, Dad. Outside the window, the sun was beginning to set, casting a beautiful orange glow over the reunited family. Well, we should get back to the office. Sean, sorry to trouble you, but could you look after our daughter? Hey, wait a sec. Don't treat me like a kid. You are a kid. Honestly, getting called Misha behind our backs and all. Mia, you don't even realize how adorable you are. I promise I'll walk her home properly. See you. Cutting short what would have been an endless family squabble, we all parted ways in front of the building. Mia and I walked slowly, watching the last of the sunset. Sean, thank you. And I'm sorry. Kevin's the one who really helped me out. Still, being a dad, huh? I never had one myself, but I think it's pretty amazing. But he's not really my dad. We're not even related. He's just my mom's boyfriend. Not related. That makes it even more impressive, don't you think? To go that far for someone who isn't even his own kid. That's honestly how I felt. Even if she was the child of someone you loved, or someone you once looked up to, the desire to protect her this deeply probably has nothing to do with blood. I mean, you're the same, Sean. Before I knew it, she had stopped walking and shouted from behind me. You went against your boss for me, someone you didn't even know. You got fired because you were tricked, and you still forgave me. You're the coolest person I know. Before I had time to be surprised by her words, she suddenly threw herself into my arms. Mia? Don't forget what I just said. I'll tell you the rest and give you my answer when I'm a little more grown up. I felt something gently brush my cheek, and then she smiled and ran off. When she's grown up, I'll be a lot older by then. I watched the last sliver of sun dip below the horizon, quietly touching my cheek. 2 years have passed since that day. I was frying croquettes again today. The only real change at the shop is that we've added more items to the menu. It takes more work, but customers love it. Being a dad, What? Are you worried about me now? In that case, I'll take 2 more of the minced cutlets. My wife can still eat those, right? Henry still drops by all the time, though that might not last much longer. He got married last year, and his wife is now pregnant. To be honest, no matter how many croquettes he asks for, I can never say no to Henry. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have found Mia that day. I wouldn't have been able to go on strike. It's thanks to Henry and his wife, who used to be Peanut's secretary. When I found out she had been working behind the scenes to change the company structure, I was completely floored. And as for Jason, also known as Peanut, after being disowned by Mr. Keller, all the secrets that had been hidden came to light. It turns out he didn't just happen to drop that wallet. He had done it several times on purpose. He used to vent his stress by yelling at vulnerable people. Now, he's been reassigned to a storage room at a factory at the far edge of Japan, working just above minimum wage. His once arrogant attitude has completely deflated, and he now lives trying to avoid being seen. As for me, aside from the expanded menu, the store was featured on TV, which brought in a huge wave of new customers, so much so that I now own a factory. With support from Henry, who is now an area manager, our factory's bread is even used for a monthly school lunch croquette sandwich. Apparently, the kids love it. And of course, we had them reshoot the TV feature from scratch, because all the punishment has already been carried out. Even now, the folks at the factory tease me, saying I was too cool. Hey Sean, your phone's ringing again. Bet it's Misha, right? Stop calling her that already. The screen read Mia. They were right, and my face warmed up a little. The message was about our wedding, which was just around the corner. Of everything that's happened in the last 2 years, the most significant thing has been Mia. She showed up at the shop on the day of her high school graduation with Kevin and her mother in tow. Sean, I graduated, so please hire me, with marriage in mind. I'll never forget the look on their parents' faces, or the croquettes that got completely burnt. And I'll never forget the way I shouted over the sound of the frying oil. I'll protect Mia with everything I've got. Of course, we didn't get married right away. Just as she said, Mia started working at the shop. After about a year of dating, we finally decided to get married. It didn't feel real until we went to formally greet her family. That's when I met Mia's father for the first time. He had a strong, kind face, with a mouth that looked just like hers. Maybe that's why she stayed away from social media or always cropped her face out of photos so she wouldn't be reminded of him. I gave a deep bow to his portrait. Then I heard her mother's voice behind me. Sean, I'm sure he's happy for you too. Yes, I'll do my best to make sure he stays that way. I once asked him, why did you go into the television industry? He said, I was struggling with job hunting, and seeing kids happily talk about TV helped me decide. It might sound silly, but I feel like you and he have something in common. Please, take good care of my daughter. I promise. I felt like I had a brief conversation with Mia's other father, the one I never got to meet. We probably would have laughed together, saying sometimes it only takes something small to guide your path. From the other side of the door, I could hear the sound of a father and daughter bickering. Her mother and I exchanged a smile and rushed back to join the family. 1 week later, I went out of my way to bring a bouquet before work, and what do you know? They're on their honeymoon. Man, this Misha's hashtag is still trending. From to the Thekra Crockett shop wife, huh? Sean, you lucky guy. The shopping street, regaining its liveliness, was already bustling early in the morning. Parents and children alike live with wounds in their hearts. But if you have the courage to trust someone, you can meet people who will heal that pain. True family isn't about blood, it's about bonds built on kindness and mutual support. Sometimes people close their hearts out of fear of getting hurt. But even then, if you have the courage to reach out and take a hand offered to you, a new path will always open. By caring for someone and being cared for in return, we all become a little gentler one step at a time.